Alright, we're talking about the quadrilateral family tree. We're just going to be discussing the different types of quadrilaterals. Okay, so the first thing you may want to write down are these different names. Okay, the first one is a trapezoid. Okay, remember that a trapezoid, okay, is a four-sided figure with one pair of parallel sides. Okay, so only two of the sides are parallel. Okay, remember that's the symbol for parallel. So one pair of parallel sides. Notice a couple of examples are drawn here for you. You don't have to draw all of these. Okay, but if these are parallel and these are not, then that's a trapezoid. These are parallel, these are not, that's a trapezoid. Okay, if you have two pairs of parallel sides, that is a parallelogram. Okay, so two and the other pair. Okay, that makes it a parallelogram. Okay, a kite has no parallel sides, okay, but two sets of congruent sides. But the ones that are congruent to each other have to be consecutive. That means that they're touching. So these that have two tick marks, because they're the same, they meet. Okay, so two pairs of congruent, I'm actually just going to use the symbol there also, consecutive sides. Okay, so these two are congruent and they touch, they're consecutive. Okay, and then these two are congruent and they touch, they're consecutive. Okay, and that's what forms a kite, and they can be different size or facing different directions. Now a rhombus, okay, is a parallelogram. Okay, notice it has two sets. There's one set, two sets of parallel sides. So it is a parallelogram, but more specific than that, these tick marks, hopefully you remember, mean congruent, and they all have the same number of tick marks. That means they're all congruent. Okay, so a rhombus is a parallelogram with all sides congruent. Okay, so all four sides are equal. Okay, and the two sides across from each other are always parallel. Now in a rectangle, again, this is a parallelogram because there's one set parallel, two sets parallel. Okay, but notice all of the angles are equal. Okay, now here, this angle was not equal to this angle. This is obtuse and this is acute. Okay, so the angles in a rhombus aren't necessarily all equal. In a rectangle, all of the angles are equal. And if we're in a quadrilateral, we know that means they all must be 90, because the total is 360. If I divide that evenly into 4, I get 90. So this is a parallelogram with all angles equal, okay? Or you can write equal to 90 degrees because they're all four 90-degree angles. Okay? That does not mean all the sides are equal. Notice this side is longer than this side, but all of the angles are 90 degrees and equal to each other. Now a square, we're getting even more specific now. A square, notice that all the angles are 90 degrees, or all the angles are marked equal. Okay, that's like a rectangle. Okay, and notice all the sides are equal to each other. That's like a rhombus. Okay, so a square is an even more specific parallelogram with all angles equal to 90 and all sides congruent to each other. Alright, so we've got information about 6 different types of quadrilaterals. Okay, now we're going to look at how you would order those and what we're calling the family tree. Okay, so this is going to be helpful to you to remember what's a parallelogram and what's not. Okay, so it's broken down into, okay, first we're starting very general quadrilateral. Okay, quadrilaterals can be parallelograms or they cannot be parallelograms. If they are not parallelograms, okay, they could be a kite or they could be a trapezoid, okay, or they could just be some four-sided figure that's neither of those, okay? But a kite and a trapezoid are specific types of non-parallelogram quadrilaterals. Okay? Now, if you're on the parallelogram side, we saw three types of specific parallelograms. We saw the rhombus, which had all sides equal, and the rectangle, which had all angles equal. Okay? And remember, a square has both of those, angles and sides equal. Okay, so if it helps you think of this as a family tree, the square is the little baby to rhombus and rectangle. It has attributes of both of those. Okay, so this is just a helpful little chart, flow chart to help you remember what goes where and what falls into the category of parallelogram and what does not.